Hello and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast live. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and I have a semi-big announcement to make before we start the show. As you all know, Rose has been crazy busy at work and just hasn't had time for anything. And I don't just mean podcasting. I'm talking about other things in her personal life. So, as of right now, Rose is taking a bit of a backseat role. But when she has time, she'll jump right back into the front seat and co-pilot with me. Now, saying that, I will not be going solo, as Unexplained Possibilities has added a new person to the mix. This person who I'm speaking of right now is in no way replacing Rose, but she is filling in the open seat. At least for however long she feels like she wants to sit in said seat. You know, she might open the door and, jump out or something. I hope she doesn't do that. Anyway, please welcome our newest team member and my co-host, the Third Eye Mystic herself, Neima.
Hello.
Some of you may know and some of you may not know, Neima and we actually did a show together a couple of months back now. And I advise everyone to go and check it out to learn a bit about her. It was a really fun show, and it opened my eyes to a few things that I didn't know about. So, Neima, I gotta ask you.
Yeah, what's up?
Were you a bit surprised when I asked you to co-host with me?
I wasn't necessarily surprised. I was thrilled. I know you've been having a hard time get people on the show, so yeah, this is awesome. This is definitely down my alley, so I was thrilled and excited.
All right, right on. I seriously though, thank you for doing this and officially welcome aboard.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so before we jump into tonight's topic, I saw something last week, going into this week, and this was German and Egyptian archaeologists finding a huge statue depicting who they think is Ramses II. All right, did you catch that?
I think I reposted that on my Twitter page. I didn't really look into the specific dynasty. And then I think my mom sent it to me as well because she knows I'm big into Egyptian stuff.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so
What's up with that?
I thought that was so cool. So, all right. This happened March 9th. A team of archaeologists, both German and Egyptian archaeologists, they were finishing the dig that started in 2012. All right, so 5 years, which is a long time. The statue was found in a mud pit in the slums of Cairo, Egypt. Apparently, when they were doing the digging and stuff, since this was the last leg of it, none of them thought they would ever find anything. So they were just like, whatever, but apparently they struck gold. I mean, talk about a surprise.
Yeah, really. So it took them that long to dig it all up?
Well, they weren't digging in just one site. They were going over a huge area, and that was just the last spot over the 5 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Now, the statue is believed to be over 3,000 years old. Alright, so how it's still intact is beyond me. I mean, that's...
I'm sure it's the mineral stone that they used to carve it, right?
I don't know. I'm just gonna say yes. Because
I feel like if they carved it out of a material and then it was buried, I think it's... it's just like finding a big rock.
Now, here's the unfortunate part, but somewhat understandable. The team, they caught a little bit of heat because they were using forklifts and bulldozers to get the statue out of its resting place. But what folks are failing to realize is, yes, it is a huge part of ancient history and to our ancestors, but this statue, it's not little. This thing is an estimated 26 feet tall, over 3,000, over 7 tons, which is 14,000 pounds. Okay?
Oh my
So,
God.
unless you're Hercules, let's see you get it out. I mean, what
Yeah. What were they expecting? Like everyone to just, go at it and pick it up with their hands and carry it out? Or
I guess so. I mean, come on, like cut him some slack. I mean, the fact.
Well, I mean, I don't see anyone going over there and helping.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the fact they even found something like this is pretty amazing to one of the most, well, I won't say it is Ramses because they have not confirmed it, but if it is, he was one of the most popular pharaohs. I mean, they said that he took the throne when he was 20 and his reign lasted 60 years.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's unheard of. I thought that was just really cool. I mean, what an awesome find.
Mm-hmm.
It did leave me with this question. How the heck did the Egyptians make that thing and move it and all that good stuff?
Right. Then you start getting into those conspiracies of where they did it with their mind or they had extra powers as to where they could actually do that kind of stuff.
And then, of course, there is the ancient alien theory that aliens helped them out.
Yeah, that's true.
It's possible. I don't know. Hey, the name of the show, Unexplained Possibilities. So, it's possible.
Right.
One theory that I do like is that there was a civilization before civilization, meaning that there was actually an advanced civilization on this planet before modern times were advanced now. And some catastrophe happened and wiped them all out, and what's left behind is their advanced civilization. But over the years, things got beat up and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, then you get into the idea of Atlantis and all that good stuff. There's tons of civilizations before ours.
So just, little thing that I like. Something to think about, something to talk about. Hopefully one day someone will get the answers.
Yeah. Food for thought.
So that brings us to the main topic of tonight's show. An urban legend that is a modern day mystery. Black-Eyed Kids, not to be confused with the Black Eyed Peas, a popular singing group, or the Butt Nasty Food. Ugh. I don't know how people can do that stuff. Yeah,
I don't think I've ever tried that.
Oh, don't. You don't want to. Anyway, what do you know about Black-Eyed Kids?
From what you've sent me, the paranormal experience of Black-Eyed Kids. So, I think most of it is relating to either demon possession or alien encounter.
Well, but what do you believe though? Like, do you think it's demons or aliens? Or...
Man, I don't know. I don't think I've ever truly decided on what I believe on basically anything. So I would say my opinion's still open. I feel like a lot of course, these people who have these experiences feel as if they are very real, and if it's giving you a sickness, like, it's affecting you in your reality. So it goes along with ghosts and demons and all types of stuff. I don't necessarily believe in demons, but I know other people do, so I'm respectful of their beliefs.
Whoa. You don't believe in demons?
Not necessarily, no.
You will no longer be co-host of this show.
Oh, Hey, you said I could speak my mind.
That is true. In regards to demons, I'm actually kind of so-so myself. I don't know. It's tough because it's probably one of those things that you have to see and experience to really get it. But at the same time, it could be a really upset spirit.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I want to explain it as a very like low frequency, like a low vibration, and yeah, just maybe more of a frequency thing, like the low energy, like really, really negative. But I think demon is like a personification of it. So it's like, oh, it's a demon with horns and it's evil and
Yeah, that's a different way of putting it. A lot of
yeah.
times folks, they do get a bit fooled by the more Christian-like representation of demonic entities.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but that's that. Whatever.
However you want to think about it.
Exactly. One of the first reports, or one of the reports that actually went mainstream, was in 1996, and this was from Brian Bethel. Is that how you pronounce his last name, Bethel?
That's how I'm saying it.
Okay, well, all right, we're going with Bethel. Brian, if you're listening and it's not that, sorry. Yeah, so Brian Bethel, and you should actually have that information in front of you.
Yes, well, I'm familiar with it. I watched both of the interviews and then I read the story online.
All right, well, I'm throwing this one to you. Take it.
Okay. From what I get from it, he was at nighttime dropping off, writing a check for internet bill. And then these kids were going to the movies to see Mortal Kombat, and he was in the car writing his check out, and all of a sudden they knock on his window asking if he can take them back to their parents' house to get money, and so they could see the movie. So he was, I don't know, had a black-eyed kid's experience, frightened, terrified, but yet still entertained the conversation. And because they were children and the need to help.
The thing is with the black-eyed kids and Brian Bethel, who pretty much set what they do and explain perfectly like how they are and stuff, they come up unnoticed. That's the first thing. They seem to pop up out of nowhere, and they work in pairs. It's usually almost always two kids, and I believe the reports have said they're usually under or appear to be under the age of 14. So think of kids between 7 and 14 by themselves. One is dominant, and that's the one who will do the speaking, and they will always ask to come in. It's very, very weird. Chances are they're only going to pop up at night or whenever the sun is starting to set and just go down, or right before it rises. It's very strange, and no one can really explain why that is. But what would you do, Neima, if like you're at home kicking it and you hear a knock on your door and it's a kid asking to come in and use your phone?
I think if I didn't know about these experiences, I'd probably be like a good Samaritan and try and help them out. But I feel like if I had the intense fear that the people discuss, and say your stomach turns upside down, or you feel that intense fear, or maybe like my dog's going crazy and barking at the door, then I guess I would hope that I trust that instinct and just not deal with it and wait for them to go away.
Yeah, that's the thing the report said about them going away. They don't go away, not anytime soon. I mean, they're there. That's creepy.
Yeah, some of the stories, it's kind of almost borderline stalkerish.
Yeah, I
Like they do not go away.
no means no. No, no does not mean no. No means let me in. I mean, it's just really, really creepy. And the other
Hmm.
thing about him is the one who does the speaking is well spoken. It's not an idiot by any means. He does not speak like a little kid. No
Yeah, that's
little goo goo gaga talk. No, it's hello, sir or ma'am. Would it be would it be all right if I were to enter your premises and use your telephone? I must make a call to my mother. It's like, what? You're freaking me
yeah.
out, man.
Yeah, the way that Brian described it with the sort of monotone and articulated speech is very intimidating.
So, I mean, honestly, what do you do if you come across something like that?
Yeah. Um, just go with your gut instinct. I know I was surprised at how the people seemed to entertain the situation. And then it seemed like towards the end of the conversation, possibly, or right in the middle, then they happen to notice their eyes. So I'm like curious as to why they didn't notice their eyes right off the bat, so to speak.
Well, I think it's because they try to hide their eyes. And
Okay.
a lot of times, too, when you see a little kid, you're not really going to look them in. You just see a little kid. That's about it. It's
Yeah.
just some little brat. Like, yeah, 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 whatever, kid. And I think what happens after that is your sixth sense starts to come into play, and you're like, okay, something's a little off here. I don't know what's off, and then you start eyeing them up and down, and then the eyes meet, and it's like, oh boy, you know. so,
Yeah.
so I
Have
think that's.
you have you had like any experiences like that, or do you know anyone like that's super close to you that has seen these black-eyed kids?
Well, I personally have not had any experience like this, and if I did, well, let's just say a little kid would have got choke slammed. So, but but
Oh
I
my
do
God.
have I do have a friend. He's passed away now, and I've mentioned him several times on this podcast. Alien Photog, AP. He was really, really, a really good friend of mine. And as people who listen, they'll know that he had experiences with Zeta Grays. And one time he told me on the ship, he remembers walking around and he went into an area where there were test tubes and they were creating hybrids. And he remembers they looked human, but they had black eyes. That actually brings me to what one of the theories is on what people think the black-eyed kids are. They actually suggest that they are hybrid human and aliens mixed together.
Hmm.
And why they're down here? Well, for a few reasons. One of them was to say that they are an advanced party, pretty much giving you a warning that you're going to be visited by something bigger and not as nice looking. And then others suggest that they are seeking your permission to actually get visitations.
Hmm.
And we were speaking about this off air a little bit about how the black-eyed kids, their lore in a way is like vampire lore. They only pop up at night and they seemingly come out of nowhere and they have to ask your permission and you have to give them consent before they enter your home. And
Right.
some people say it's because it's a sly way of getting you to say yes so you can be visited by extraterrestrial beings. And I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but I've spoken to several people and they've all said the same thing. And these people don't know each other, but they've all said that ETs, they only visit those who they have permission to visit. You have to give your consent or else they won't bother you. And the problem with that is you may have given your consent and you didn't even know it. You know, and it doesn't necessarily mean giving them your consent in this lifetime either. You know, that's the other problem. Like, you may have done it in a past life. Your family may have done it, which is what happened to, I actually should not say his name. I caught myself. But it's what happened to someone who was very prominent in the extraterrestrial field until he was set up by a few things. But his name is kind of taboo, and man, that's something you just don't want to mess with. But yeah, so these kids are trying to get your permission, and if you say, yeah, sure, come on in, it's a double meaning to that. Like, yeah, you think you're telling them to come in and do whatever, but in actuality, you're quite literally telling or giving your consent to extraterrestrials to come in and experiment, visit, help you, whatever it is they do.
Obviously, that's like in the experience that these people are having. I kind of think of it as, say they are Zeta Greys and they're trying to visit people and use these people. They have to ask permission, because if they don't, then they're in violation of the 7, 12, whatever it is, universal laws. So with people here on Earth, like, you can't interfere with a person's free will. So so if they visited you without your permission, then they'd be violating that law. But it's interesting how you said that, like, your family could say that, or in a past life, in the past or the future, you could have given them permission and you don't consciously know that you've done that when it's happening or when you're going through that experience.
Sometimes the guys could be like lawyers, I think.
Right. Like, and that goes into play with the articulated speech and being suggested something and convinced of something. And when you're really good at talking to people and you're really good at the language, you learn how to manipulate people.
Yeah, so, I think everyone's probably been manipulated once in their life. They know the type.
Oh, of course, right?
Yeah. So I'm only bringing this up because you told me that you are just now starting to study it, but you mentioned hypnotherapy off air. And
yeah.
And sometimes people who have encounters with the black-eyed kids, when they look into their eyes, they describe almost some type of hypnosis going on where they just go brain dead almost, I suppose. With your knowledge where it stands right now, I know you said you're still learning, figuring it out, but you know more than me. Do you think it's actually possible to hypnotize someone by just looking them in the eye?
So I'm trying to think of the term. So when you look someone in the eye, it is a part of hypnosis, and I think it's called eye catasty or something. You intently look into someone's eye, and then that helps them get into a deeper trance state. But the thing about hypnosis is all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So you are not under anyone's control. You can make the decision to stop being hypnotized at any point. A hypnotist is just assisting you with your own mind and your own thoughts. So when they say, oh, I was hypnotized, I lost control of everything, that's not exactly what happens. You're kind of, you have to be okay with it. It's kind of like them being okay with coming into your house. Like, you have to hypnotize yourself, and you have to give them permission to assist you in the process.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So that's like one of the biggest misconceptions, is that hypnotism is a form of control, mind control, or whatever it is.
Oh boy, we are some crazy people then.
Exactly, right?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I guess in a weird way, that's another way of people saying, yeah, wow, learn something new. I'm sorry, I'm really taking that in. I didn't know that.
Does that blow you away?
It does. It honestly, it does.
So when I was reading his story, or one of the main stories that first came up on the Brian Bethel, I found it interesting how he said, first he said, my fight or flight response was triggered. So I would hope, I was trying to look into it before we started, but I'm thinking that happens while you're in your conscious mind. And then he says, subconsciously, I felt like my hand was moving towards the car door to open it. And then he says, oh, well, when they looked at me, it was a low hypnotic state. So, and we study that in hypnotherapy. So there's the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the unconscious, the conscious, and it's just a lot of stuff that goes into it. So there's definitely different states that you could be in during this process.
Okay.
So I found that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and seeing that, you do, since you are studying hypnosis or hypnotherapy, well, what I'm getting at is you can see this from a different perspective than your average person, than I can.
Right.
I didn't know about that stuff and how you're kind of tricking yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. Don't do that on me or make me do that to me or whatever.
No. My object would be to help people who want to be helped. So I'm not going to hypnotize you if you don't want to be hypnotized.
Okay. Because, man, you'd be opening Pandora's box. Okay, so what do you think about them, the Black-Eyed Kids, that is? What do you think about them just almost showing up at random and out of nowhere? How do you explain that?
That is interesting, because I was thinking that they had predetermined their targets, but it seems in most of the stories that they pretty much aim for anyone. Like this one story was saying that they were trying to get into a hotel or something, and try and get to the people that were in the hotel. And then there's another one where the kids were targeting pretty much all the neighbors. So I think I would have liked it better in the story if they were specific targets, because in relevance to, your family predetermined that you were gonna be visited by Zeta Grays or have these experiences, then it'd make more sense. But it is kind of weird how they just show up out of nowhere.
Well, you never know, though. It could actually be a type of specific target or whatever, because you don't just randomly pop up and just go door to door to door. I mean, that defeats the purpose. You get found out. You look even creepier than you did.
Yeah.
And so I think that they do choose specific people, and it kind of goes back to bloodline in some regards. Going into something else real quick, from my understanding, and it's a limited understanding, I admit that, but from my understanding, like extraterrestrials, if the black-eyed kids are indeed working with extraterrestrials, they look for certain bloodlines, some that have a very certain type. What was it? Was it RZ or something? Rose, I think, has it. I have to ask her, but it was a very specific bloodline, and I don't know the significance of that bloodline, but it was something about it. And they could be targeting people with that. They could be targeting people whose families might hold a position of power, you know, and, you know, could have been someone who, well, sold someone out. Like, hey, I'll give you this, you know, I'll give you myself if you go freak them out right now, you know?
Wow. That's crazy.
I wish I could remember that bloodline. What was it? That blood type.
Is it RH negative?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know my blood type. I have a fear of needles. So yeah. So,
don't you go to the doctor? Come on.
No, I do not.
No?
I do not. I don't trust doctors.
Yeah, well.
I know. I'm a weirdo. I actually go to herbalists.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, they're doctors too in some regard.
Yeah, they're just more natural. You see, I don't do that synthetic drug mess, and people who use it, if it helps them, more power to them. But I'm just the believer that any ailments you have, there's a cure somewhere in nature. It's just taking the time out to find it and listen, all that good stuff. You know.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of things can be healed with the mind.
Yeah, but
with again, mind and natural stuff.
That's just my weirdo butt.
Very weird. Oh my god, so weird.
Well, we have a sarcastic one here, folks. I'm gonna put you in a scenario, and let's see what you say. All right, like earlier, you're at home, you're relaxing, but now you know about the black-eyed kids, that urban legend. Well, I think you're a bit of a night owl, so I'll say it's about...
So they're my friends. Just kidding.
It's about 12 a.m. and, you know, you're just relaxing, maybe sipping some wine. You know, meditating, have some candles around you, and just hum, you know, and then you hear. It's like, what the?
How's that done? Just kidding.
So you get up, you go to the door, and first things first, would you actually open the door? Would you look out the peephole or window?
Never would I open the door.
Okay.
I am definitely the type to like peek out and then I'll say, who is it? Like I ask questions. I don't even open the door.
Okay. So you ask, who is it? And they say, excuse me, we'd like to come in and use your phone.
See, now that I know about black-eyed kids, and this is like late at night, see, I want to say like a part of me would let them, but then another part would be like, hey, dude, this is like, you should have a cell phone. I feel like every 7-year-old and 14-year-old has a cell phone now, so I just wouldn't buy into it.
You should have a cell phone. That's one way to do it. But okay, but as we know, these guys, they pester you. They don't leave. Our battery's dead. Can we use your phone?
Oh, man. It depends on my feeling. It would depend on what kind of feeling I'm getting from it. Like if I feel completely zen and I feel like they're not going to do anything, then yeah, I'd open the door and I'd probably give in. But if I had that gut feeling, or my dog was just going fucking like crazy, then then I wouldn't.
Yeah, and
I wouldn't trust it at all.
I'm happy you said that, because it seems that animals, they can tell right away when something was up. Like in a few of the stories going around the interwebs, like dogs and cats, when those kids show up, they freak out. They don't like them. You know, I don't know what it is. They can smell or see, but man, if your pet is going nuts and it's like, nope, I want nothing to do with this, you should probably listen to them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I'm also glad that you said that depending on how you would feel would determine if you let them in or not, because I found one story where a woman actually let them in. And surprisingly, it was fairly anticlimactic there. She said she let them in, and one of the kids somehow already knew where the phone was and just ran right upstairs. And the other one stayed downstairs, and this was the one who didn't speak. And, you know, she was looking at them, I guess, and their eyes met. And she said, like, she just felt herself slipping, like something was off, and she blacked out.
Wow.
And when she came to, you know, they were just gone.
When she came to her senses?
Yeah, well, when she gained consciousness, like, they were gone, without a trace, like they were never there to begin with.
Wow, that is trippy.
Yeah, and so now it leads to the question, what happened when you were out?
What do you mean?
What, did they do anything, you know, while she was knocked out? Did they touch her?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Like, yeah. Did they, like, get inside her head?
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
What happens? But that was the story I found where someone actually let him in. All the other stories, no one lets them in. Like, they just get so freaked. But I'm wondering if someone is a parent, if they're more likely to let those kids in versus someone who is not. You know, does that paternal and maternal instinct kicked in?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
You know,
you just want to help them, right?
I guess so. I don't have kids, so, you know, I barely like the little brats. They'd be out of luck with me. I don't know. It's just something to really think about.
Yeah, I was reading another story where it was like a wife and a husband, and they had happened to let them in, and I think one of them said that they needed to use the restroom, and the husband felt really uncomfortable, and when they left, afterwards, the husband and the wife started to get nosebleeds.
Oh.
And got really, really sick. And that led me to another link, which was stating the radiation impacts of UFO encounters.
Yeah, that's right. There is radiation involved in them. That's funny you mention that, because there is a saying that if, for whatever reason, after an unexplained event happens to you, if you get sick, for no known reason, you start puking and a mess, chances are you were taken.
That is crazy.
That ever happened to you?
Mm-mm.
Oh. Well. You got
no, I'm always healthy.
Well, darn.
I don't know, man. I guess they like me.
So, now moving on to another possible origin of these guys, or the black-eyed kids, that is, government. Yes, that is right. Good old government. And I'm not specifically talking about the US of A. although chances are that it's probably the US of A. And it's two theories with government. The first one is just plain silly, and I don't know who would believe that. Well, some people do. But they were experiments gone horribly wrong, and they escaped from Area 51, and they're running amok, and they're actually looking for their parents, and that's why they want to use phones and come in the house and all that good stuff.
Really? There's actually a theory out there like that?
Yes.
Huh.
Personally, I don't believe that one. It's just too radical. Number one, the government is just too violent. Like, they kill everything before they let something like that out.
Right. Yeah, I don't think they're that sloppy.
It's just a harsh truth. And for them to all come from one facility, Area 51, like, come on, guys. It's a scapegoat. Maybe at one point, Area 51 actually was used for secret military stuff, but I don't think they do it anymore. If anything, it's a red herring where they're performing the Kansas City Shuffle. Okay, so you might be saying, what's the Kansas City Shuffle?
Definitely saying that.
Yeah, okay. The Kansas City Shuffle is actually a dance, but you look one way, you look left, when you should be looking right. And it's all about distractions. And by the time you turn to your right, it's too late. You're dead.
Okay.
If anyone has ever seen Lucky Number 11, they will get that reference. What I'm saying is, in regards to Area 51, yeah, they might have a few little things there, but it's to distract people and keep them looking that way, while over here at Area 76 is where the real mess is going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about distraction. The second thing, and this actually ties back in with the alien hybrid, is that they are hybrids, but they were created by the government. There were aliens who were captured, government got their DNA, got a sperm, egg, spliced DNA, did a butt ton of stuff to see if they could create a type of super soldier, as you will. I know it sounds very X-Files-y, especially towards the last season, but you just never know. And these little guys, they go out and they scout and find potential people who fit descriptions that the government needs. They actually try to get into the house to use the phone, not necessarily to call mom or dad, but to alert officials that this is a possible candidate, and they tag that house. Because, as soon as you pick up the phone and dial, they're able to trace you.
Mm-hmm.
And the subsequent alien visits after that aren't alien. It's terrestrial. It's government. And they're just pretending to be extraterrestrial to freak you out, and they're doing their experiments on you.
That's an interesting concept.
What do you think about that one?
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I feel like if the government were to have potential candidates, I don't know. I feel like they'd already be tracking the people that are, what houses were visited and whatnot. I think I kind of like the idea of the Zeta Greys creating these type of bodies or clones in order to allure humans and basically give in to abduction or visitations. Okay. So I kind of like that theory better. I'm not sure about I could see the government doing the same, but I don't know.
Now, do you know if these kids, if they appear in more rural areas or in the city, or does it not matter?
I feel like a lot of the stories were more royal, right?
Rural.
Rural.
There you
Rural. Yeah, I don't feel like they were city based, and except that one that was that hotel story
go. Yeah.
with all those guests.
Now, why in the rural areas? Because what? It's just nothing there, perhaps?
I have no idea. That's a good question.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, that's the only thing I could think of. Like, it's just easier to maneuver, less people will see you. Of course.
Right, yeah, because if you were in a busy city and these type of kids approached you, I'm pretty sure at least 20 people would see them. So they couldn't really target you.
So then, why all the secrecy? You know,
Good
what
point.
what's the end game, rather? Like, what is the point of all of this? Like, come on, guys, throw us a bone here.
These people that have these one-time experiences, I'm kind of curious if they ever get visited again after it, or what happens afterwards.
You know what?
Because it seems like it's just one experience, and then everyone reports on it, but afterwards, yeah.
You know, that's a very good question, because I often tell people, like, yeah, if you get in contact with some ETs, believe me, man, they're gonna visit you more than once. It's just gonna happen. But black-eyed kids, though, it really only seems to be one time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, and then if they were tagging people, then they would have to see him more, I would assume.
Gosh, that's very interesting. You know, we're gonna have to do a follow-up show on this. I'm gonna see if I could get some people on who's had experience with black-eyed kids.
Right, and then I would ask him too, like, yeah, because maybe they have later experiences, or maybe they have dreams, or maybe they're not dreaming at all, or maybe they're not having any paranormal experiences after. Like, that would be some good information.
Now, this is something that I found interesting as well, that I'm about to tell you guys. And this comes from Chella from Create Disclosure. Shout out to Chella.
Hello, Chella.
I was speaking to her like about a week or so back, because I knew I was going to do this podcast, of course, and I asked her about the black-eyed kids. And you know, Chella, when she speaks about disclosure and ETs, it's a lot different from what we normally hear. You know, so sometimes it's a little hard to understand because you're so used to one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But according to her, and again, bear with me, guys, because I'm about to butcher this name. But according to her, she said that black-eyed kids are Vekuzni void elemental beings. Now, you're probably just as confused as I was. Like, a what?
Vekuzni, can you spell that for me?
Vekusni.
Vekuzni.
Void elementals.
Void elementals.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what this is, they are a type of descendant of Void. And if you listen to the two shows Chella was on, you'd know what Void is. It's very complicated. But to put it as simply as possible, it is the primordial goo that all life came from.
No, I was looking it up and it took me to something else. Wow, that's interesting. But what is it like? What do you mean? Like what everything? It's just the goo of how everything is made. Like
yeah,
what?
like I said, it's tough to explain, but I need Chella. I can't explain it. That's the bottom line.
Okay, so give me a second. Void elementals are alien beings whose bodies are hollow spaces encased in black, rubbery membranes. Okay, so I could see where you would say, okay, it's basically like kind of like source energy, like where everything comes from.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's a
but I
good way to
think
put it.
I'm having a hard time seeing how they are the
All right, well,
expression of that.
yeah, here's the thing. Like, with Void, don't think of it as individuals. Think of it as one thing. And
Right?
think of it like this. Everything comes from nothing, and nothing comes from everything. That makes no sense. That's actually even more confusing. What?
Right. Well, I mean, everything just doesn't make sense if you really think about it.
Yeah.
Everything's just really confusing, but
I'm just going to continue on. Anyway, so yes, the Vekuz.
yeah, thanks for throwing us down a rabbit hole there.
It happens. The Vekuzni Void Elemental. That's what she says that the black-eyed children are. And she also said that the government, and this goes back to what we were saying earlier, but the government has the ability to make clones of them. And you will see clones of these Vekuzni elemental people running around. I mean, it's pretty trippy. It's a lot of stuff out there. That's the best way to put it. It's a lot of stuff out there, and it's all confusing. And
yeah.
the even crazier thing is, in a weird way, everyone's right.
Right. There's just different ways of explaining it.
So, but yeah, that one though, it caught me off guard because I've never heard of Vikuzni before. And that was the first. I was like, what the? And I'm pretty sure it caught many of you listening off guard. And Neima, I know it caught you off guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I've never heard of that.
So, but hey, learn something new every day. Hopefully we could get Chella on again in the future, and she could go more in detail about that.
Okay, so it is a version of a negative. Yeah, let's do that. It's a version of a negative energy plane. So that's why, and are draconian aliens considered negative, right?
Well, here's the thing about that. Is there really, any such thing as negative and positive? It depends on your outlook. I'm not going to say that draconians are negative beings because, they're part of the reptilian group and they just have such a misconception on them, and it's kind of messed up. So I can't say that they're negative, but I will say that they have negative stereotypes put on them.
Okay.
But it's a lot of misconceptions with them. Now, moving on with the black-eyed kids, one of the final things about them, and I think you would agree that this is a huge possibility, even though it's not really probable, but could it all just be one giant prank? Could Brian Bethel have made up that story and through the power of suggestion installed all these characteristics And some people, they get their kids, they get black contacts, put them in their eyes, and just run amok.
I feel like that's a no. Going back to like maybe possibly they're demons or something. When you first showed me this topic, I had instantly remembered a situation with my mom, and she didn't necessarily see black-eyed kids, but I remember one time she was having a hard time focusing on the positive, and she was having a lot of what she would consider mind battles and kind of just like being tortured. And she remembers looking into the mirror and seeing her eyes completely blacked out.
Oh.
Yeah, and it really creeped her out, and then she would look back and it was gone. So I thought that was really interesting. And I'm pretty sure, I want to say that other people have had similar experiences like that. But that's pretty crazy. These, like, your eyes go black and all of a sudden it constitutes like this demonic presence or this negative energy.
Wow. That's intense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you think it's all totally real? Or,
I mean,
some of it is. Not all of
okay.
it, but...
I wouldn't say all of it, but I feel like even, say like the average person, when they speak of paranormal experiences, it feels real to them. So there could be multiple reasons why you're having that experience. Like, are you hallucinating? Are you sleep deprived? Are you having a form of psychosis? Like, there's multiple reasons why this could be triggered. You could be dreaming, you could be in a trance, whatever it is. But I feel like these people actually feel that it's real. So I don't think necessarily that they're just playing a prank or whatever.
Now, is it possible?
Even though that'd be a fun prank.
Is it possible that this could be a type of topa?
What's that, topa? Define, please.
A topa is bringing something into creation out of nothing. Yeah, you're creating something out of nothing due to the power of your mind and believing that it exists, and you're putting that energy out there. And if enough people have that same thought and they put that energy into it, it comes to life.
Yeah.
You know, so could they be a type of topa? You know, could they? Maybe Brian did have this experience, and he put that energy out there. Other people picked up on it, and because it was so much energy, it created these black-eyed kids.
Yeah, and these other experiences. Yeah, I feel like everything's topa. Like, everything's created with your thoughts, you know?
All right, well, let me be more specific.
Put it out there.
Usually, if something's a topa, they don't have their own thoughts. You know, they just do whatever it is that people feel they should do, and that's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's more influenced.
Yeah, but that's not to say that they can't become self-aware. For instance, and even though I know for a fact, this is probably the only time I will ever say something is 100% like fact, but I know 100% for a fact the Slender Man is not real. 100% is not real. And
what?
You never heard of Slender Man?
No.
What
is that?
Slender Man started off as a little flash scary game on PC. And people, you know, they were just so freaked out by it, they started to create an urban legend from it. And saying that it was this tall man who wears a black suit with no face, and he'll stalk you in the forest or whatever, and then he'll grab you and kill you. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, it started off from a game. It's not real, but so many people, mostly kids, started to believe in it. It seems like he became a living boogeyman.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what the... And we actually spoke about this, but it was 3 little girls who believed in him, and, you know, they stabbed their friend, or 2 of the girls stabbed their third friend, like, 12 or 15 times, trying to appease the Slender Man so he wouldn't come and kill them and their families.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
That's terrible.
And it looks like he's becoming a Topa. Like, it might actually be some type of energy created spirit guy who's now, you know, running around the woods stabbing people to death. And, you know, so that's what I was meant with the black-eyed kids. You know, what if?
Yeah. What if they were created by all these people talking about him?
Yeah, so gosh, you sound kind of like, oh, I wish I didn't know about the Slender Man. Why did you tell me that?
No, I feel like that's just sad. Like, and now I got sad for a second because I mean the idea that people like read into specific stories and then all of a sudden they feel like tortured by it or demented or, you know, just playing into it. And then your mind is like poisoned, like it's permanently poisoned. And then you end up doing things like that. And that's sad.
Yeah, this, you know, and I think these girls, they're up for trial and I don't know what's going to happen to them. You know, it's like they didn't know what they were doing. They honestly didn't. I don't think they did what they did maliciously, you know, but then at the same time, it's like, you kind of stabbed your friend many times over, and I think she actually lived. At first I thought she died, but I think she actually lived. I have to follow up on that. It's been something I've been interested in.
I would hope that these girls are like smart, like, I hope that they get, they just plead insanity, because that's if they're really claiming that that's why they did that.
Oh no,
then
they 100% believe that. That wasn't a joke at all, you know. Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose temporary insanity and them being as young as they were, you know, that might help them. But at the same time, it's like, do you just not punish someone who's done something like that? Or maybe you do? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you just, if they do plead mental insanity, they just, you could get punished though, but you could go to an actual hospital and it's not like.
They definitely need some type of therapy.
Yeah, psychology. Yeah, they need that.
So, but, you know, that's that. And it looks like that is all our time for tonight. And how did you like it?
It was amazing. Yes. That was awesome. I had a great time.
Yeah, look at that. Your first co-hosting gig, even though you're pretty much doing this for nothing, so.
It's fun. I enjoy it. That's enough.
Okay, if you say so.
Well, you gotta do what you love, right?
Yep. All right. Yeah, that does it for tonight. But before we close, just a few announcements. First, we have a top 10 list coming up soon, and Neima is going to be the one handling it. Any ETA on that?
I think once I get my vacation, I'm going to finish the edits and go through them, and then we can do that.
Okay. And on the 22nd of March is another podcast with special guest, psychic medium Natalie Rodriguez. Yeah, that's going to be fun. And also on the 31st to close out the month, well, there'll be an In Case You Missed It, and yours truly will be taking care of that. And if you don't know, and in case you missed it, is just a little video where I quickly go over some of the more interesting things that happened throughout the month. Check out Neima's site, thirdeyedmystic.com, right?
Yes, www.thirdeyemystic.com.
So check out her site, and links to her website and various social media will be found in the description below. So, click on them, guys. She's cool, honestly. And
thanks.
Also, don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe to us here on YouTube. And remember to follow Unexplained Possibilities on Facebook and Twitter. And all those links can also be found in the description below. Neima, any final thing you'd like to say before we head off?
Nope. Thanks for having me. See you guys soon.
All right. With that said, remember, guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Remember to tell them hi. Bye, everybody.